Hello my fellow YouTubers, and good afternoon. Welcome back to TTBurger Game Reviews, and I am your host Tony, and I hope you all enjoying the holiday day season here, because we are now in the week of Christmas here, where Christmas is upon us, and then before you know it, the New Year will be upon us as well. And I'd like to welcome you all back here to another game review here, and this is episode 164, another multiplayer review, episode 164, once again, part 1 of 2, another 2-part review. I know I've been doing a couple of these 2-part reviews already, but I assure you, there'll be more multiplayer reviews coming in, along with some surprises coming up as well, that are going to be coming in the year 2021. Now, let's talk about Top Gun. I'm sure all of you who grew up in the 80s and the 90s when this movie was popular saw the movie Top Gun starring Tom Cruise, and I'm sure you also saw the movie Days of Thunder, which is very much similar to Top Gun, but with like NASCARs and everything like that. Top Gun was definitely one of my favorite films of the 1980s because I loved like those flying type films where about like a pilot or something like that, and like just like one of those type of films. Like a lot of them were done that, but Top Gun was definitely one of my favorites. But of course, like Top Gun also made its way into the video game industry, and there were a lot of Top Gun games. A lot of them were pretty awful, like the two on the Nintendo Entertainment System, which a video game nerd reviewed them too. And there was also some on the PlayStation 2, the PC, and Super Nintendo and stuff, and more on Game Boy Advance too. But I want to talk, but we're not going to talk about any of those games. I'm going to be talking about 2 Top Gun games here for like the 3D era of gaming. I like this will be in 2 parts. Part 1, we're going to look at Top Gun Fire at Will, the PlayStation version, then Part 2, Top Gun Combat Zones, or Top Gun Combat Zones for the PlayStation 2 and stuff. But we're going to start off with Top Gun Fire at Will for the PlayStation by Spectrum Holobyte, released on June 1st, 1996, and if you can find this game in the long box, definitely pick it up. It's also in the jewel case as well. If you can find the long box, it's definitely worth a good collector item for sure. Now, Top Gun Fire at Will, I gotta say, it's a decent game at best. It's not as bad as what the critics said it was, and because I know like the critics and everyone just tore this game a new one for many reasons like that. But to be honest with you, it's not as bad as what the critics said. And yes, I am aware that the PlayStation version is different from the PC version in multiple ways, but it's still a decent game overall. But, and this is a big but, there are a lot of small annoying quirks in this game that make this game not as fun as like Air Combat, aka the original Ace Combat and stuff like that. And these problems should have been worked on, and it doesn't make it as good as Air Combat, but it's still decent for its time. Now, the main problem with Top Gun Fire at Will is that it gets repetitive, and the missions are all the same. Shoot down enemies, shoot down a certain number of enemies to end a mission, and that is it. Sure, Air Combat was like that, but it added more to it and stuff like that. You weren't just like shooting down enemies, you were shooting down like ground targets to destroy stuff. You had a wingman with you, wasn't very helpful. And you had like a multiple variety of aircrafts to choose from. In here you only have one aircraft and stuff, which is the F-14. But it's just take down the enemies, rinse, lather, repeat, and do again. And it can get a little boring after a while, but we'll talk about that later on. The story of Top Gun Fire at Will puts you in the role of the main hero of the movie, Pete Mitchell, also known as Maverick, piloting an F-14. As Maverick, you go around different parts of the world to stop multiple theaters of war like Cuba and Korea and more. The story is told through FMV full motion video scenes, which look really good. Even though it all looks like it was done on a green screen, they still look great. But the problem is, there's not much story there. Sure, you have a lot of cutscenes and stuff that move the story along, but there's not much to it. It's just fight this group of fighters. Mission accomplished. Fight some more group of fighters. Mission accomplished. Then do it over again and 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 again. None of the actors from the movie, except for James Tolkien, who played as Commando Hondo, reprised their roles in this game. Hell, Maverick is never shown in the cutscenes and does not talk at all. I do not get why they could not just show Mavericks face give any lines of dialogue there. It's like they were too lazy to find an actor for Maverick, so he's like saying, "Oh, you're always looking through the eye of Maverick and stuff." He's the side protagonist of this, which is just a weird thing here in my opinion. For the presentation here, the graphics are good, although they are dated, but still good graphics for its time. The FMV cinematics look great. They're on par with like Wing Commander 3, Heart of Tiger, Wing Commander 4, The Price of Freedom's FMVs. And the in-game game graphics though are not the best. I know it was released in 1996, but they're not really the best looking compared to like Air Combat. Like, the plane models look blocky, and like the environments look generic looking. You feel like it's just like sky, water, hilltops and stuff. That's basically it. There's not really a lot of detail in the backgrounds, in my opinion. I mean, the in-game graphics could have had more to work on. I mean, I can understand 1996 and they were good for its time, but here they have not aged all that well. The frame rate is decent. I mean, it's not the smoothest frame rate ever, but it's still a decent frame rate. So let's look at the graphics. For sound, we got the great sound here with kick-ass music that's like rock tunes like that, like cool-ass kick-ass rock tunes like you're flying a plane. And also you got the cover of Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, which a lot of people didn't really like the cover, but I don't think it's that bad. I mean, like, it's just, I know they didn't have any licensing rights to include the original version of Danger Zone, so they just made a cover, and the cover's fine. And the acting in the FMV scenes are not the best, kind of hammy and phoned in, but James Tolkien as Commander Hondo steals the show and is the lone bright spot. I mean, yeah, I know he was in the movie, but still, he is the lone bright spot. The other sound effects are okay, but not the best, but still, we gotta move on here. The gameplay, a lot needs to be talked about here. First, getting started here, this is an arcade-style flight combat game like Air Combat. The PC version was a flight simulator arcade-style flight combat game, and here it's just arcade-style. The differences between the PC and the PS1 version were like, in the PlayStation version, you start off and the enemies are right there. In the PC version, it gave you more time to explore by flying to the target and stuff like that. Which is kind of weird that they changed it here. I mean, I don't know if it was because of the limitations of the PlayStation, but still, it is kind of a weird thing there. You shoot enemies to complete objectives, and that's it. And thankfully, this game is much better than the awful NES games based on Top Gun, but still, it could have been better. I mean, the game definitely has that feel of Top Gun, the way the cutscenes look, and the levels look, and the jets look and more. And it can be fun, dogfighting the enemies like that, going through the 31 missions as you travel around the world and everything like that, and it definitely can have some fun for a while and stuff. But now we gotta talk about the negatives here. First off, the game is not very long, only 4 or 5 hours. You can be in one city, and after that you can play them again if you want to, just to like try and improve higher scores like that. But beyond that though, that's pretty much it. And like sure, like you can take longer missions by destroying all the enemies, which would be impossible because they keep spawning back. You're supposed to destroy a certain number of them. But yeah, that's all about that. But beyond that though, it's pretty much all that the game has to offer. And with the 31 missions in Top Gun Fire with all the stuff that you go around and stuff, and 31 missions seems like a lot of them, but a lot of them are very short and can be beaten quickly. Hell, the very first level in the game, your goal is just to shoot one enemy, and that's it. And then you get to shoot a few more enemies, and then stuff like they start off very short and stuff, and just like you can beat in like a minute or so some of these missions because they're so short. The controls are responsive, but they have a weighted feel to it, and thankfully, like they don't have like that awful land the plane on an aircraft carrier and stuff like that, like how they did in the NES game and stuff too. I'm glad they didn't do that, but like I'm sure they did, it probably wouldn't have been as bad, but still. And the difficulty is all over the place, ranging from stupidly easy to welcome to my fucking nightmare hard with the enemies being unbalanced. Like, there are times where the enemies are so stupidly easy that like you can shoot them with your eyes closed, and then like there are certain missions in the game where they'll be like very tough and always hit you with the missiles or so, and they're like saying, "Welcome to my fucking nightmare. I hope you enjoy." It's like they're saying, and they're very unbalanced here. And I know I said a lot of the negatives here, but it's still a decent game at best. Which is that more could have been ironed out on it. Final thoughts here: if you like the movie Top Gun and you want a game where you can dogfight and stuff like that and such, and you want a game with a Top Gun name on it, I still definitely recommend Top Gun Fire at Will for the PlayStation. Keep in mind, this is different from the PC version, so those of you who have the PC version and want this for your PlayStation, be warned, this version is an arcade style flight combat game, unlike the PC version, which was a flight simulator with flight combat in it. So just be warned there. Due to the complaints I have here with this game, the best score I can give it is a 7 out of 10. It's a decent game. It's not as good as like Air Combat, but still, it's worth like a rental or a weekend of fun or so like that if you want to play it. And that's pretty much it for this episode, for episode 164, part 1 of 2. Stay tuned, we're going to zoom ahead to the PlayStation 2, we're going to look at Top Gun Combat Zone by that smiling cartoon fox logo called Titus. And with this, we're known that it's going to be a mystery here. How does this game fare? Find out in part 2 of episode 164. Now, if you like what you see here, subscribe, like the video, comment down below, and join my Discord group, TTBurger Game Reviews. I'm always looking for more people to join. Link is in the description below. It's a permanent link that will not go away for 24 hours, so click on it whenever you want. Which is all I gotta say. Tony, peace out, have a great day, and see you all in part 2 of episode 164.